Good morning, friends. It's Jake here. I'm trying to be a little bit more regular about tuning in. Here we've got Spud, the new Kelpie. She's my new old Kelpie. I wanted a dog to help me on the farm, but I haven't had a working dog before. I've been breeding schnauzers for years, probably like 8 or 9 years now, but I've never had a working dog. So I did some ringing around and said, does anyone have a beautiful old trained dog that's slowing down a bit, that wants to hang out and work a couple days here and there, small amounts? And I found Spud, who's 8. She's got a lot of juice in her. She's still pretty fast. She's a lovely dog. And there's Lucy. Got her friend Sebastian staying with me at the moment, helping out on the farm and doing a bit of work down at the Barnawatha sow yards. So he's off today. We just fed some of this barley straw to the cattle. They're having a little nom-nom. We are still containment feeding them. We're having some good germination around the farm. If we get a bit of follow-up raiding in the next week or so and a few 20-degree days, we'll be back grazing. But while there's minimal pasture and ground cover, we're going to keep them up here. I'm actually going to graze them up the driveway because these trees are dropping leaves and the cattle quite like them off the ground. Anyway, I thought I'd give you an update as to where we got with milling yesterday. It looks like a bomb site down here because I had my 3 kids and had a girlfriend come over with 3 kids, and they were down here just running amok. You can see their buckets and shoes and bubble wands and spades and trucks and all sorts. But we got through that second log and the mill can only go so low, right? So we raised it up. I lifted the log up with the crowbar and Sebastian threw these sleepers underneath to raise it up, and then we milled down another 200 mil. And then the bit of log that was left, which we would have got some good 2x4s out of, I ended up just chopping up for firewood, so they'll get thrown on the pile when we have the log splitter come out. Here's the big log that we're going to be working on tomorrow. I just tidied the end up here. Going to take that burl off, but the chainsaw ran out of petrol and I thought, yep, that's a tomorrow job. I just walked away from that one. When you put your big logs like this in, you've got to have more clearance on the left. I know that's the right, but I'd be talking about it from the other side. Let me show you so we don't all have to argue about it. With your Lucas mill, this is called your power head, and at the moment this is all the way to the left. See that? And then you have your blade horizontal for your forward cut. And if I had that log centered more, my power head wouldn't fit past the log and I wouldn't be able to do a full cut, which means down the other end, once you do your horizontal cut and you start walking backwards, you swing your blade vertical, and then you make your vertical cut coming backwards, and then your piece of timber's ready to come off. And I wouldn't be able to get past the log to swing my blade. So it's not, you don't set them up perfectly centered. These big logs a little bit to the right, you don't need the same clearance on this side because that's the side that the blade's on. Does that make sense? Anyway, here's a heap of the timber that we ripped yesterday. A little bit of cracking in some of them, but you know, for the sort of structural farm use we use them for, absolutely fine. I'd be trying to buy seconds at the timber shop anyway. These are 100 by 50s for you Americans that love that ridiculous imperial system. They're your 2x4s. And then just thicker posts out of the center, which is a heap of rod in, which is why we do that. We'll get to make little things. So once we finish this big log, we'll organize these on pallets and strap them down with ratchet straps. And I might even ask our nice neighbors if they could move that pallet out of the way. We've got 6 days left to clear this log, pack the mill up, move all the timber because our silos are getting delivered starting next week. And a bit of an update on the biochar. We only did the one cook yesterday, but it's still a bit wet in here. Normally the test for biochar is you want to shake it and it clinks. Sounds a bit like glass. You can see that's completely cooked through. There are some little pieces that you'll find on the top here with a bit of timber still inside, but that doesn't matter. You're always going to get that on the top. Maybe some of these bigger pieces on the top. Yeah, not cooked through, so that just goes through on the next cook. But basically, if we dig all the way through this, that's just falling apart in my hand, look. If we dig all the way through this, you'll find that we've got a nice couple 100 litres worth of good biochar. So what do we use this for? Well, I use it for a feed additive for my animals. I give it out ad lib in their lick buckets, and what I'm doing for the cattle at the moment, because I don't have a mineral trailer here for them, is I'm just mixing this with bit of dolomite, bit of salt, bit of seaweed meal, just the staples that I have laying around, and they're just getting into that. I don't feed out seaweed meal straight anymore because the cattle just eat that much of it. It's $8 a kilo at the moment, so you cut it with salt, slows them down a heap, lets them ration it a bit. But all I'm going to do now is shovel this into a wheelie bin, 2 cooks, and we'll have a full wheelie bin. And I don't do chores specifically making biochar because it's quite a easy thing to do in the background, so I wouldn't stand here to make biochar. If I'm chopping wood, I'll drag that around me and cook it in the paddock as long as there's plenty of water nearby, whether that's bucketing from a pond or plugging into one of my water lines that I got everywhere. All these little offcuts are going to get cooked. Heap of little sticks and stuff up in this paddock. There's some more offcuts, but a great little tonic. Why do cattle like it? A few reasons, but one thing is when it gets in their guts, it's very porous. It can soak up a bit of nasty stuff and actually inoculate itself, and they'll crap it out. The dung beetles will bury it. It'll obviously come out in smaller particles, and we're basically putting carbon straight back in the soil. The cattle like it. Do you like it, dog? The pigs absolutely love it too. Anyway, guys, that's me. Have a good one.